Why am I here? Why am I relevant? I do a couple web shows, one called Investing in Cannabis, which is all about early stage investing in the cannabis industry. The second one is called Infused. That's a documentary series all about how cannabis gets normalized. I'm going to do my best to maintain my editorial credibility here, the consumer process here. Somebody talked about tracking, maybe it was Hua. It seems to be one of the most divisive issues in delivery is whether we show customers where the driver is right now, how much information we give them about where that car is. There's obviously some risks associated with that. Let's start in the middle, maybe.
So we've decided
Zach,
to
yeah,
kind of push away from that. What we're doing is we're showing a delivery time. We don't want to show exactly where our driver is. Essentially, that can lead to people kind of finding where your dispensary locations are, what may have you getting robbed. These are things we're not into.
In the middle. We will not show exactly where the driver is. We'll show about where he is. We keep the times accurate, but it's just he's in the neighborhood for the most part.
Yeah, we show an ETA. We don't show exact location. It's a little bit about safety, but for us, it's actually more about user experience. I think, you think of yourself as an end user when you've ordered from a site like Postmates, for example, and you can see the driver kind of driving around in circles, and it makes you angry. Or when you call an Uber and he's not coming in your direction. So sometimes it can actually work against you, especially if you have a multi-point delivery model.
So once a delivery driver gets there, they ring the doorbell or they call, whatever the special instructions say, and they come to the door. Tell us a little bit about the standards around customer service and sort of what you set out for drivers or set out for the dispensaries drivers. I've had things like been upsold to at the door. I've had sort of creepy experiences with drivers, or maybe the wrong order. What happens if they mess up the order? How much do you guys think about that far in advance? When they get there, who they're talking to, and how that experience goes.
Yeah, for us, it's very important, right? We do view the entire end-to-end experience as part of the user experience. There's definitely challenges there. In our model, the drivers are not our employees. In fact, in most cases, they're independent contractors of the dispensaries. And actually, employment law, you can't be very specific in telling independent contractors how to do their job, or you could get sued. So it's definitely a balance. We get reports all the time where drivers are aggressively asking for tips, things where, it's not really upselling because the platform really doesn't allow for that. But, certainly situations where, for example, someone puts in the instructions, please come to the door, and the person just sits in their car and sends text messages and refuses to come in. So we send that data down to the dispensaries, and hopefully they're dealing with those drivers appropriately.
Yeah, I think that's a strength and a weakness of the platform model. It's certainly a strength where you can have this giant fleet of independent contractors, and we can certainly have a discussion or argument that there is no such thing as independent contractors in cannabis, because that's what my labor attorney told me after the lawsuit.
We'll get to the lawsuit. That's a little.
That was a different lawsuit.
We do go ahead and train any driver that is essentially partnered with one of our partner dispensaries. So essentially they are trained in the way we want them to treat the customer. They're trained in the different promotions we're offering at that specific time. So essentially when they go ahead and meet with the customer, they are essentially going ahead and telling the customer exactly what we're offering at that time. The customer is able to apply that to the next order. Ends up being a 5-star user experience.
Yeah, the delivery services that we work with, a lot of them are employed already. They're not independent contractors. So I think what's interesting is through retention, through people reordering, they see the same person. There's comfortability in that, knowing that Sandra's coming and she knows exactly what I want. She knows how to handle the cat.
When we switched
There's an issue.
to W-2, we took a huge hit on the bottom line, but the customer experience was so much better because now the guys didn't have to rush.
Yeah.
They could just chill out, sometimes a little too long, but they could just relax and spend some time.
That's true. Yeah.
Got it. So sort of the final part of that product feedback loop is reviews, right? So after they get it, after they try it, what do you do? And I'm going to start with Zach here because he's got some really strong opinions on reviews. What do you do when you get a terrible review? Whether it's fair or not, inevitably that's going to happen. How do you deal with it?
We'll go go ahead and send them a message at first. If they don't respond, we'll try and go ahead and give them a call and find out exactly what happened. Granted, we feel like all of our experiences should be a 5-star experience, so we'll definitely take into account what the customer said, try and go ahead and give them some free things, so they'll go ahead and change the review and have a good positive experience and essentially order from us again. We've had some customers who've had negative experiences with us, and essentially we've gone ahead and done exactly what I said, and they became returning customers.
Speak to, we had a little bit of a spicy moment in the green room. I have to bring this up because it was too entertaining, where there is some thoughts around or some conjecture that some of the services on this panel had been sort of giving you purpose negative
I think in just the industry in general, some of our competitors up here, Eaze in particular, has attacked numerous competitors of ours with Yelp reviews, 1-star reviews, and gone ahead and posted, let's say, some sort of promotion for themselves. And essentially we've contacted Yelp about that, and Yelp has gone ahead and removed the reviews on all of our competitors' pages. Let's say Eaze did this about 1 year ago in about 50 different dispensaries throughout Los Angeles. And that was one of our main locations, Santa Monica, Culver City, Beverly Hills. It's a location we actually kill. We're #1 if you search Santa Monica marijuana delivery, whatever. So essentially they went ahead and did that to us. Long story short, we reported it to Yelp, and they went ahead and removed it in 1 second.
It's getting fun, ladies and gentlemen. Jim, I'll give you a chance
I have no idea what he's talking about.
to reply to that.
Hey, we can put a thread and we can put the proof. You've done it to many of our competitors. Many of our competitors.
Okay.
No comment on that, Jim?
I mean, I don't know what he's talking about, but
All right, anybody
Exactly.
else have any comments on reviews or AJ, any thoughts?
Prevalent in the industry.
Yes.
Speedweed gets the occasional bad review, no question about it. But the vast majority of our 1-star reviews are they're absolutely made up. We couldn't fight it. We couldn't stop it. We couldn't find these customers that had, your driver tried to rob me and sexual assault, all kinds of crazy stuff. We couldn't find these customers. Eventually, we just stopped using the platforms. We're not on Yelp. We don't use Weed Maps. None of those mapping sites. We don't need them, and it just creates headache. You can see Zach is fired up, and he was fired up in the green room saying that
I love that he's fired up, by the way.
As a host, I would as well. But I told him I don't even have the staff to go out and do that, and I would never do that to a competitor.
Yelp is, we get a lot of negative reviews on Yelp. Some of them fair, some of them unfair. I think, being a little different than Speedweed, where we are a platform, where, as an end user, you are interacting with Eaze from your perspective, but the delivery is actually happening from a dispensary that you may or may not even know the name of that dispensary. So if you have a bad experience, you're coming to Yelp and you're going to give Eaze. You can't really control because of the regulations. We're not a dispensary. We don't control the dispensaries, and we can't really dictate certain things, but we're on the hook for everything.
And your partners could go out and attack the other shops, and you maybe not even know.
Yeah, I mean, like you, we basically kind of disengaged from Yelp.
Yep.
It's just, it's a lot of noise.
It is.
Don't you think you can get your dispensaries to adhere to a certain standard, so to say?
I mean, you can try, but at the end of the day, like, some flour is going to be bad, and some people are going to think that they got ripped off, and they're going to go to Yelp and complain about it.
Yeah, I've seen a 2.7 star review for you guys in San Francisco. 227 reviews.
Yeah, as I said, we're not a 5-star review on Yelp service.
No, not on Google either, I guess.
No.
Neither is Speedweed. Neither is Speedweed.
Should have had that thoughts on Measure M, but that's all right. Jim, you set it up perfectly. Jim, you set it up perfectly to move in sort of to the policy and regulation discussion here. There's a lot we could talk about in terms of 64 and Prop D in LA, and I'm going to give AJ a chance to talk about that as well.
I'm good.
I want to just talk about, pending draft regulations, what you think is going to happen, and most importantly, what you're doing to.
Yeah, I mean, I think California is doing it seems like it's going in a decent direction, right? There's obviously a lot of different interests. So, for example, the W-2 issue we brought up, where in the new regulations, every person who touched the plant has to be an employee of a licensee, right? That's being driven by labor unions, and right or wrong, it's an interest that isn't necessarily aligned with the long-term success of the industry. I think it's going to be very difficult for cultivators, for example, to have W-2 employees. So if you look at the draft regs, cannabis businesses, including delivery, can operate between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. Right? When we look at our data, that's not really when people are ordering, right? People certainly not at 6 a.m. Like, we see the majority of our orders coming in between 7 and 10 p.m., right? And
So Prop D is a zoning rule that was passed a couple of years ago. very political rule. How controversial can I be? A very monopolistic rule.
Let it all hang out.
Prop D is unenforceable. It's unconstitutional. It's too broadly written. What it does is it places zoning rules not just on the shop, where the plant originates from, but in the vehicles themselves. So if you're ordering Chinese food, for example, Prop D would say that the vehicle that's transporting the food needs to be zoned the same way as the store. It makes no sense. It goes against our Constitution of California. You cannot zone a home, you cannot zone a vehicle, you cannot prevent anyone from using the roads. You cannot zone a transaction that happens in someone's private residence. We have the right of our own, the freedom of our own home, our own premise. The city disagrees with me. The city says that they do have a right to ban deliveries. I say we don't. I say that Speedweed has never broken a law, never broken a rule, never ever in our existence have we done so. And when we found ourselves on the other side of a regulation like labor, we fixed it.
Essentially,
at
we got affected,
great cost.
not nearly as severely as AJ, of course, but they did send us a letter. We had 3 locations in LA. We had South Bay, we had downtown, we had West Side, and God, we were doing an enormous amount of business with our partner dispensaries. And this was about 2 years ago. They came in and they shut us down. We got a letter basically saying if we didn't shut down, we're going to face the same sort of lawsuit that AJ faced. And essentially, we closed our shop, and we don't operate in the city of Los Angeles anymore. It was actually kind of a good thing. We were forced to go into many other locations, and heck, now we're about to be operating in over 80 different cities
Last
throughout
topic
California.
here is about the future. There are outrageous articles out there about how drones are going to do delivery and autonomous
go, bring it
vehicles are
on.
going to do delivery. I have sort of more basic questions like, is Amazon going to do this? Are the normal logistics channels going to be a big player? Yeah, some other here's too, but let's start that way. How long is cannabis delivery, specifically cannabis delivery, and not like delivering anything?
Yeah, I mean, I actually do think eventually cannabis would delivered via drone, right? Eventually it'd be delivered self-driving car. You know, is it going to be 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? That's the question, but clearly, technology's headed in that direction, not just cannabis, but all kinds of other products. I also think Amazon will be there, right? If you're in retail anything today and you're not thinking about Amazon at least a little bit, you're kind of crazy because they are crushing almost every other industry. Now, I think in cannabis, we probably have a little bit of time, right? We probably have until some sort of national or federal legalization before a company like Amazon can think about this.
Certainly, we feel drones will be key, essential to the future of the industry. When will that happen? We're not sure. Of course, it's up to the feds. We don't think anything's going to happen until it becomes federally
Go to
legal.
questions. Yeah, go ahead.
So my question is about, in the delivery model, you kind of take away the personal experience, right? And so I'm curious how you balance educating and onboarding a new user base, and like what each of you guys are doing in terms of, utilizing the platform for, the last mile, so to speak, and how that translates toward onboarding new users by by educating them about cannabis as a wellness and lifestyle.
I think I touched this fairly in my previous conversation. Basically, we go ahead and we train our drivers, and we let them know about our current promotions. That way, the end user is able to go ahead and find another promotion that'll essentially work section on each client. And essentially, a great example is a client called up maybe about 3 weeks ago, went ahead and told us they had some foot problems. Well, one of our dispensaries went ahead and saw those notes, touched base with the customer, and because of that, the customer ended up leaving a 5-star review, basically letting us know, man, these people, they really care. They let us know all about, these different things that could help my foot, and essentially they were extremely helpful. They came right to the door, what may have you. So we think that notes section is extremely integral to going ahead and providing a great customer experience for the next order.
Hello. So I was just wondering, do any of you have open job positions?
Tons.
Yeah, there's a partner section on our website. You can definitely check that
And
out.
do you ever have problems finding good quality candidates and
I'd
finding
say we
the
get
right
about
people?
5 to 6 people applying every day. It's pretty insane.
And they're good, all good quality?
Well,
or-
some are better than others, what may have you.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Without even my knowledge, we were actually already on Postmates. They put us on there. So essentially, if someone wants to, they can essentially place an order on Postmates. I had no clue up until recently. So yeah, I mean, we're open to everything and anything.
Hi, I'm with Zana Medical, and we do scaled medical guidance that's condition specific. And I'm just wondering from you guys, how much demand you see, just kind of in terms of the content, UX, and conversions, which is obviously a priority. How much demand there is for folks to actually address the effect that's going to have on their condition, or is it really just about kind of a multitude of products and sorting through the products and doing that? Is there what's the demand for that, and how are you addressing it, and how do you see it going forward? From a medical standpoint, I guess it's separating medical and recreational in some way. but
Our
also just-
dispatchers and drivers are trained. We have a doctor come in and talk to them about what the products are and how they can help with different ailments and different illnesses. But every conversation that our customer service person has ends with, but everybody's different. You have to find your own path, go slow, go low, and figure it out for yourself. Because it treats everybody different. So sativa makes me tired, and indica, it amps me up. Everybody's wired differently. So it's hard. We're organisms. We're all unique snowflakes.
I would think this is a question we get almost every day. What medication is used for this? How can I use this? What may have you? We can't answer any of these questions because we're not doctors. So it is kind of a gray area in the industry right now. We hope in the future to maybe find some sort of loophole by maybe bringing on an on-site doctor that can talk to some specific patients. But it just seems like kind of a stretch at this point. So we're looking for some sort of laws that's going to change and essentially allow for some sort of recommendation by some sort of, caregiver, so to say, rather than from a doctor.
Being here, I want to thank all the panelists individually